Today, I want to talk about how the market will soon break, how the squeeze is imminent, and how their time is almost up. But first, I want to show more proof of just how corrupt the SEC really is. So stay tuned and let's make some money. And now I'll dive straight in with the key information. So, Matt tweeted saying I'm reposting this pic from earlier because it proves self-disclosed short positions are hugely misrepresented. Not only are self-reported short positions hugely misrepresented, but also just how the SEC turns a blind eye to their crimes. I also wanted to remind you of the Christmas sale where you can currently get 25% off your first month or 4 weeks for the price of 3 with the Millionaire Mindset Trading Group, which has a 100% guaranteed refund policy if you don't make a profitable trade in 30 days. You can sign up using the link in the description below to end up with daily results like these. So this screenshot or this photo and post Matt is talking about is a screenshot from a FINRA broker check on Nomura securities. Now first, let's go through their crime before we talk about this measly fine to figure out exactly what Nomura did wrong. So it says, without admitting or denying the findings, the firm consented to the sanctions and the entity of findings that it failed to comply with FINRA's short interest reporting requirements. As a result of the coding issue, as a reminder, Nomura is a billion-dollar firm with thousands of employees and tons of levels of review. Coding issues and coding errors do not exist when work is reviewed 5 to 10 times before it's set live. But as a result of this coding issue, the firm failed to report 3,129 short positions, totaling 885 million shares. In addition, the firm inaccurately reported 6 short positions for only 6,790 shares, when it should have reported those 6 short positions for 68,724 shares. So Nomura completely forgot to report their short positions in 3,129 different stocks for 885 million shares. They could have knowingly, illegally shorted 885 million shares of a company, crushing the company's value, erasing billions of dollars in value. And how much were they fined for this heinous crime? You guessed it, it's a completely pathetic penalty and fine of just $33,000. Not $33 billion, not 33 million, not 330 million billion, $33,000. They potentially illegally shorted 885 million shares of a company, effectively destroying that company, and were fined a few weeks' wages for those top employees. I actually think this is the biggest crime or biggest misreporting of short positions ever seen before, with 885 million shares, and also coincidentally the smallest fine I've ever seen as well. But actually, my mistake, my apologies, it was actually a $100,000 fine. $33,000 went to FINRA and the rest went to the New York Stock Exchange, which was being manipulated. So we can see that not only does this crime exist, not only is he even caught and found and exposed, but we can also see the SEC and FINRA are evidently corrupt, fining just pennies from these hedge funds. And speaking of manipulated securities, I actually wanted to show you this stock, which has just seen a new high of manipulation that I've ever seen. So Bets or Bit Brother Limited actually had a bit of a miniature short squeeze a few years back in 2018. The stock ran from around $140 to $700 per share in just a couple of days. But obviously since then the price has fallen from $700 per share down and down to just $0.0038 per share. Now that actually isn't even the most fascinating part of the manipulation, and the manipulation surrounds just how many shares have traded over the last few days. I also wanted to quickly go through my alerts from the Millionaire Mindset Trading Group over the last few days and go through today's 2 trades on CING and a call option on Tesla. So as you can see, over the last few days and the last few weeks, the group has been very profitable, only taking 2 losses on alerts on a UPST call option and on CCCC. The remaining trades over the last few weeks since the 6th of December have all been profitable. As I said today, we had CING, which I alerted in the pre-market saying if CING can break $3.83, it will push up higher. It had a small movement here in the pre-market, which was a bit too fast to catch, but then when the market opened, it ran for an extra 33%. And as I said, right now you can currently get 25% off your first month using the code Christmas at checkout on the Millionaire Mindset Trading Group, linked in the description below. So Bit Brother Limited is a company that has a float of 205 million shares, a fairly similar size to AMC's float. But in the last 2 days, or looking specifically at today alone, which the market hasn't even closed yet, Bit Brother Limited, or BETS, has currently traded 2.89 billion shares. No, not 2.89 million, not 2.89 thousand. They have a float of 200 million shares, but 2.8 billion shares have traded today. So we've had 2.8 billion shares traded today, 2.4 billion yesterday, and the previous few days before that, 595 million, 881 million, and 521 million. So we've had pretty much between 2 and 10 times, or 2 and 15 times the float being traded every single day for the last few days. I think that's got to be one of the highest amounts of shares I've ever seen traded, with 2.897 billion shares traded in just one day. Now, Watcher Guru has tweeted saying, just in, US Congressman Warren Davidson says 2024 would be a great time to fire Gary Gensler and hold the SEC accountable for its corruption. Now, that's obviously exactly what I'm talking about so far in this video. I don't know if I specifically trust Congressman Warren Davidson to ensure that Gary Gensler is fired and SEC corruption is ended, but it is indeed something that needs to be finished. Speaking of corruption, while I do think these hedge funds, institutions and market makers should be paying taxes on these specific activities, I'm sure this is something else that will be brushed under the rug. If you didn't know from the IRS guide, you should actually report income from illegal activities and from stolen property for tax purposes. It's all of those hedge funds, institutions and market makers that are making money or stealing money from the average American through money laundering and manipulation. That should all be reported on their tax returns. Now, I'm going to hazard a guess and say this income will likely be hidden, and they'll attempt to, as usual, brush it under the rug. And I'm sure, as usual, the SEC and everybody else involved will look the other way. As a prime example of just how this impacts AMC, I know that many don't like him, but Spence has an excellent tweet here. He said companies like RILY that are wrapped up in fraud and are most likely subject to a Department of Justice investigation are holding $20 per share. Yet AMC, when adjusted for the reverse split, a profitable company that's cash flow generative and making more revenue than ever, is below 70 cents per share. He says that right there is absolute proof that market makers and billionaire private equity employees or companies control stock prices. The market is not controlled by supply and demand, otherwise these fraudulent Department of Justice investigated companies would be bankrupt, and companies that are profitable and cash flow generative like AMC would be at new all-time highs. But as Phil for Real has tweeted, he said these hedge funds, banks and family offices and market makers are desperate. He said they're sending out shills in waves greater than ever, pretending to be retail investors all over social media to keep unsuspecting people from investing into meme stocks like AMC, GameStop, Mullen and others. He said threats, harassment, defamation, doxing, etc. they have no limits. I can personally say that I've never seen as many FUD and shill comments down in the YouTube comments below than I'm seeing right now, not in my entire history of doing YouTube. At one point back in 2021, I was getting more views than I have right now, but I had significantly less shill FUD comments. Now I have slightly less viewers, but the number of FUD comments has increased tenfold again, trying to scare you out of your positions. Now, obviously, I'm not telling you to buy or sell or giving you any financial advice of what to do with your investments. I've only ever said don't invest more than you're willing to lose. But to me, it seems these shills and these FUD bots are really worried. They're doing absolutely everything they can to try and convince you to desperately sell. Every single day they're down in the YouTube comments telling you to sell shares. So guys, be sure to let me know what you think down in the comments below. As always guys, be sure to ding that notification bell, because that way you'll be alerted when I upload a new video. Cheers.